How crazy is that?
Dude, I
that a black
those.
dude named Corey was running for president and his whole thing wasn't Corey in the house.
I would have done it.
That's crazy to me.
I probably wouldn't have like officially done it, but definitely unofficially.
I would have officially done it.
I know you would have. I would have unofficially done it just because like
Cory Booker should have been retweeting Corey in the house memes. That's all I'm saying. I'm just listening to how it's.
You sound like the Coochie Man. Have you heard the Coochie Man song?
Facing the wrong way.
Have you heard the Coochie Man song?
No.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna change your life after this podcast.
Did you say that?
It's called the Coochie Man.
Okay, so not Gucci Mane.
No, not Gucci Mane. Coochie Man.
I think these levels are good.
Okay.
So what's the song?
Do you want me to play this? I will literally play you this song.
Sure. Why don't you give me the origins of it? What is it?
Okay, but they're literally okay, his name is not Coochie Man, but he's like there's a song, there's a like group of like totally just dance party music songs that they made that this specific guy, his name is YNJ, and in the middle of his songs, he's like, hold on, like literally in the middle of his song, it's all of them, and then he's like, when he comes on the track, he literally does it all the time. So you need to look up Coochie Scout, Coochie Man, Coochie Land.
Are these different
and
people?
Coochie? These are all different songs by the same person.
I wanted them to be different people.
No, but they have different stories. The Coochie Land, I think, is by far my favorite, just because it says, "Hi, how are you doing today? I'm the Coochie Man," and I just feel like that is just a hell of a way to introduce yourself.
Do you know about 645 AR?
No. What is that?
Oh my god. He's this rapper who that's how he raps, and he got a song with FKA Twigs.
What?
Yeah.
You can pay anyone for a feature, but why does he rap like that? Why? Why you want
I
to do
feel like
that?
you might fuck with it.
Oh God! If you can make me fuck with someone, because like I'm really not into that. Like Melly, like YNW Melly, he does that. Like
That's
it's different. Okay, because like when you said that, like that's all I could think, and I'm just like, ugh.
It's very not Melly.
It's not Melly. He's
also,
like,
didn't Melly kill 2 guys?
hey, that is not proven. He is still fighting a case.
Why are we all defending him so
I'm
hard?
not defending him. I'm just saying, we live in a country where we are supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. And everybody's just like slapping that on this man. He just survived COVID.
I agree with that. There just was this sudden we all ride for Melly super hard thing.
My sister really likes him, and I really am just like, he
Hold
might
on.
be.
Oh, it's coming out of my headphones. Whoa.
He can't rap without feedback? Oh, that's us. That's our
The
feedback.
podcast has playback on right now.
I was like, that's our feedback.
My bad. We haven't done a podcast in 3 months.
I know. That's a long time.
Yeah, I'm a little rusty right now,
It's
people.
okay.
I apologize.
It's cool, peeps.
Yeah, listen to this, man. Yeah, so that's him rapping. Apparently, from what we're told. Who knows?
Those are words.
Apparently.
Whose words? I'm gonna need I need him to do an episode of Genius to prove that he's actually saying words. What are the lyrics?
The Genius lyric series
Oh
is
my gosh.
literally made for 645 AR.
Probably because apparently no one knows what he's saying, because I have no idea what he just said.
Yeah, I don't think anybody really does.
I will probably, if I did, listen to him, I would probably, hum along in the same frequency. I can't even say that's a pitch. I would say frequency that he's, rapping on.
I just love that standing out and rap a lot of the time now is just how weird can I take it? What is something that no one's done?
Well, that's the whole big thing, because it's, most people, when it comes to, at least from what I'm noticing with music lately, it's what's my gimmick and how am I going to make people listen to me?
Yeah.
And it's working, definitely. Most people are how am I going to make my song go viral and end up on TikTok? And then they're going to I actually have that same kind of theory.
Putting some stank on it is
yeah.
a good. Well, I mean, that's why Blueface stood out immediately.
Yeah, that is true.
Because people
But he
are
was he was unapologetically doing his weird whatever he was doing, and it like worked for him.
You can't be like that but bashful about it. You gotta be really
you just gotta be like, this is what I do.
Well, even like TJX6, who we were just talking about, like he raps like with a very specific cadence. Like when he was on The Cave with Ketty Beats, he has this one where he's like, I killed some people and I know it's not legal, but he delivers it like
but it's you have to do. Honestly, I feel like more artists would be more successful if they were more comfortable with being themselves on the track, and not as much like, I don't want to say clout chasing, but it's like literally like trying to ride other people's wave, because it's like a lot of the people, like I guess I'll say rappers right now are like, they're finding that when they do their own thing, it ends up better than when they're trying to like bite someone else's style. Like for years, for example, like Tyga, I'm just going to use him as an example because right now he's actually doing really good things as far as his music and numbers. But for a while, he was really, really trying to like, I don't want to say he was trying to be Drake, but he wanted to be like what everyone else in Young Money was. And it was like, wow, if you could have just stayed on your Rack City, Make It Nasty wave, where you were in your own lane, like doing some lit shit. Yeah. That was you. Do that. And now he's back to it. So it's like working for him in a way that it's like, oh my gosh, if you would have like just been you the whole time, you probably, I mean, you still are super successful, but like most people in just like outside of Tyga, like if you focus on you and your own style, like it's a lot easier to be more successful because you can play with it because you're being yourself.
Yeah. I never really got super into Tyga. He was always the ones.
Don't get me wrong, not my favorite. Just like someone that I can use an example. Like, but no, he's cool. He's got his own thing. Like I feel like more people, if they focused on like what their thing was, it'd be easier for them to like actually flourish in that area.
When he did that song with Doja Cat, everybody in the comments of the music video were just furious that he was there.
They were very upset.
But now people hate Doja Cat.
Yeah, well, she kind of canceled herself, which I mean that sucks, but no one tells people how to be famous, and then they get famous, and then it's like, oh, you were a person before you got famous.
Right before that happened, I was literally saying I thought that she like had the capacity to become like one of the big new pop stars, because I was thinking about how in like late middle school, early high school, there was that wave of Lady Gaga, Katy Perry, Kesha, like all of that going on, and I was like, oh, Doja Cat totally has the capacity to be that type of a person, but then also a rapper, you know?
So I actually started listening to Doja Cat in high school. She had like an EP that had like 4 songs on it, and I loved it. And she disappeared off the face of the earth, and then she came back with Bitch I'm a Cow, or I mean she had some other shit before that, but you know, basically like when she like kind of like, I don't know why that was the thing that like blew her up, because she has an amazing voice and she's super talented. But like for me, watching her go from, she had a song called So High where she's like literally in the video. It's such a cool concept. She's like, I want to say she's like Krishna, like in the video. It's super dope. Like it's an Indian themed video, and it's like, crazy. Yeah, it's like super awesome. Yeah. And it's, but like in the video, I'm like, oh my gosh. Back then, like in high school, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's got to be awesome because her voice is so great and people, this is a vibe. Yeah. And then like she didn't blow up. She kind of just disappeared. And then she focused more on rap. And she's a hell of a lyricist, but then it's like, when it comes to the industry, it's like, if you're going to be in the media and people are going to see you, or you're going to talk and interact with your fans, you have to be conscious of certain things. And it's like, dude, you really have all of the things that you need. However, you probably need someone to tell you how to be around people, even though, as much, like I said, in your music, you absolutely want to be 1,000% yourself. However, when it comes to like media and the way you portray yourself and how you interact with the world,
or you're in some tiny chats,
or you're in some tiny chats with
people aren't recording.
Yeah, where people might accidentally be being racist, and you are, you know, not acknowledging that, which is fine because it's not the whole realm of what you're doing with your tiny chats. But
I think she's gonna come back. I don't think
that she should be like crucified for it. Yeah. Like that's one of those things, like with our generation, or this whole like day and age with like the cancel culture, it really makes me uncomfortable, because it's like, dude, there are so many people that have made like so many mistakes, because, you know, we're like human. Yeah. And then it's like, I mean, obviously, no, you shouldn't be doing certain things, and there's obviously not a way to justify them, but then again, like, who are we to be, like, as, like,
Yeah.
the people to be like, we're gonna crucify and judge you?
Well, it's just like in a best case scenario, if someone really fucks up, you kind of have to think like the whole where do we go from here thing, and it's like if somebody's like a rapist felon like Bill Cosby or Harvey Weinstein, like yeah, they should probably go to jail. But then for the other people who've, you know, just maybe even monumentally so fucked up, they still gotta like live their life. And it's like in a best case scenario, wouldn't you want them to like have learned their lesson and like live a better life?
See, that's that's the thing though. I'm like, that one of the things about like, that's why I feel like you shouldn't crucify people. Like, okay, yeah, definitely make it a teachable moment, but don't be like, you're never gonna work in this business again. You like damn, like, I'm sorry. I never looked at things from that way. And like for the whole Doja Cat situation specifically, like I know like from the things, cause like I followed her for a very long time. So it's like when that whole thing came out, I was like, this is not a good thing for your look. And like, as far as a person, I know it's not like that you're an evil racist person. Like they're like the media tried to like flip it into like she's like there were literally headlines that said that she was like a self-hating person, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Like Twitter like kept saying like, and she hates being black and like things like that. And
it's like there's obviously things that, I mean, shit, I'm growing as a person. I like to think that everyone else would hopefully be growing or have some intentions of growth in some aspect of their life. So it's like if she's able to grow past like, oh, maybe I don't hate myself, or because I don't know, I have bad hair days. Everybody has bad hair days. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, I hate my hair, because sometimes you hate your hair. But at the same time, you shouldn't, I don't think it's fair to be like, I hate black people because I hate my hair. Like, that's not fair. That's not how that works.
And like also like you just said, like you'd been listening to her for a long time, so like you were like looking at her as like a multi-layered person. I think most of the time things like this happen, people just kind of look at it. Well, they look at it as like now like a stained person. They're like, that's what that person is. So like whatever the,
which is sad though, because it's like the only reason people that feel that way is because that's what's been portrayed to them. Like, because as soon as the information came out, it was like hightail and ran with it, and it's like instantly viral because her name already has the notoriety, and then you add on the layer of she's doing something that's making people like, that's already like conflicting or like has a problem in general society. So it like red flag pinned her to the wall, and I was just like, oh my gosh, you can't be doing that to people. And it's not even just her, it's like a lot of people that it's happened to. And it's one thing that I feel like is kind of unfortunate in the world we live in, because we have such a like thinner layer of, as far as like realizing that the celebrities that we watch are real people, but we still hold them to this like crazy high and unrealistic standard of them like being gods and infallible in any way, which is extremely unrealistic. But it's because it's portrayed to us that way.
Well, I think one of the bigger problems too is like, because the way that we decide to handle and form our commonly agreed upon opinions of famous people is kind of like this open public court where people are trying to come up with like a verdict for everyone to go with. I feel like that sort of stuff ultimately turns into how we deal with each other in the real world.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, like Kanye, for instance, most people are never going to deal with him in their real life ever. They're probably never going to meet him or have him directly affect their life. But then it's like the way that you decide to handle him winds up becoming how people handle like mental illness things in their day-to-day life. You know, like it kind of sets precedence for what people decide is okay and not okay in certain subjects depending on what these people did. So if you think Doja Cat is crucified for doing X, Y, and Z, and then that applies to somebody like in real, you see,
and that's absolutely true. And that's one of those things that's like, you know, the whole like, what's the word? I want to call it clout culture, but it's not that. It's like the whole, what is it? Hive mind. I don't know. This whole like
groupthink.
Yeah, this whole like
hive
groupthink.
Mind.
It's to me. I say hive mind because it's literally like, I promise I've seen like one person tweet one thing, and I'm not a big social media person. Like I do have it, but I'm not like extremely active on it. I will go missing for several months and then kind of pop up back up. But like when I do go on, sometimes I'll notice like, oh, one person says one thing, and then like I'll get off for like a couple hours, and then everyone is saying that same thing. Like I kid you not, the other day, right now, one of the things I think the internet like tried to crucify Aisha Curry for wearing a wig, and it was
who's that?
That is Steph Curry's wife.
Oh, okay.
She wore a blonde wig. And in the picture, she literally captions it. She's like, like mommy's trying a temporary hairstyle or something like that. It was a wig, and people like freaked out and were like, "You're trying to be a Caucasian woman, and you're trying to pass." Like literally, like it's happening right now. And I was like, I saw it before it like went crazy and viral. I like saw it on one person's thing, and I was like, "What are they talking about?" And then I like looked at it, and I like looked up her Instagram, and I'm like, she looks like herself with a blonde wig. Like, what are you guys talking about? Yeah. And she even mentions, like, it's a temporary look. She's trying something new. People do dye their hair all the time. I can attest to that. But, like, I don't know. I just, the whole, like, going from, like, viewing celebrities and then turning that into and onto people that you see in your regular life is, like, so crazy to me because it's, like, I mean, I think of myself as, like, the real version of myself on all platforms. So like
you're pretty authentic.
Yeah, I'm pretty much myself all over the place. I'm like me all the time. But there are so many people like I have friends that I like talk to and they literally will say like, "Oh, well, I'm going to check out and go to my social media life." And I'm like, "What does that even mean? I don't know what just happened." And I'm like so cringe about it because it's like, nah, like this is just me like all the time. And I'm like, I don't even know how I would describe myself other than myself. So when I have like, or see people like on social media as like portraying themselves in different ways, and when I like know them in real life, because most people that I'm like one of those people that when social media started, I'm like, if I don't know you in real life, I don't necessarily follow you or like.
Well, yeah, that's what they were trying to do with like Facebook and the friend request thing. Like we were still very much so on like a stranger danger thing with the internet of like don't add people you don't know.
And then it's turned into how many people can I make follow me because of the life that I portray on the internet. And that's like really scary to me because it's like then people are I know people that are like bending over backwards to make things look like something that they're not. And it's like, dude, I cannot imagine trying to pretend my life was not what it is. My life is not perfect, but I enjoy it most of the time. Like I'm one of those people that's like, I'm here, so I'm happy because like I'm like very much happiness is in my mind, not necessarily in the things around me. So like when it comes to like social media, I'm like, I don't want to prove to people I'm happy. I am happy.
That kind of comes back to like music and art and stuff too. Like I remember I was listening to this one Injury Reserve interview, and they were talking about like people who like rap about shit that's not like real in their life, and he's like, your mom's gonna hear this and know you're just lying.
Yeah, and I actually no, but that's so true. And it's like you don't have to be anyone that you're not, because like you're very aware, but like my friends range in variety as far as like the different aspects of my friends, and I love all of them very dearly, and I love them for being themselves and not necessarily for what they like think they should be. I have a lot of friends that like, I have a friend that is living in a van and living her best life, and she's extremely happy there. So it's like, you know, like living her best version of her life, but it's not to prove it to anyone else. Versus I know people that literally are like, I need to take a picture in this place at this time to post it here so that people know that I'm doing this. And it's like, even with music, with anything, like all those things, it's like people that know you in your real life still know you. And then like no matter how much you like create this illusory like thing, I've been through this struggle, or I'm living this kind of life, or I'm so tough, like when people come to you in real life, they're going to test that. They're going to want to know about it. They're going to ask you questions about it. Like, oh, it said that you were in Mexico last week. Are you in Mexico right now? Like, what's up? Like,
well, there's also the opposite thing too, where like what you are showing, even if you're showing a lot, it's still a fraction of what your actual life is. So then people have like a false sense of like how you're doing and like what all is going on in your life. This is the second year I'm doing in a row. I'm doing the whole sober October thing, and then on top of not smoking weed,
social media cleanse.
Yeah, I'm not doing social media this month either, and I've like logged in like for 2 seconds a few times just to like check if I have messages that are important, because like I get hired to do stuff. But other than that, I'm not really using it. And what I noticed last year pretty immediately is like, you know, maybe after the first few days is like a little bit difficult because you're just used to like filling your time doing that, which is gross. But because you should be able to take a few minutes just to like breathe for a second, not like look at data. But once you get used to just, you know, being in your head a little bit, I started feeling like so much more and more just less inclined to like share things if I was doing something, you know, like if I was doing something nice, there isn't like the feeling as much of like I gotta put this out there.
As far as like doing things for social media, I do a lot of things that I honestly wish I had taken pictures for, but I just now have like steel trapped memories, and I'm very okay with that.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
Well, yesterday we were talking about how like Snapchat kind of.
Yeah,
okay, so Snapchat got like just so slandered and it just eradicated because all the other apps were like, we're gonna steal your technology,
and they did.
But like, to keep it real, like Snapchat, like they pioneered the whole augmented reality thing with the filters. They were the first to do something creative with like location things, like the SnapMap, this and that. What you and I were talking about is how their archive system with the memories is better than all the everything.
You can't compare it. I like, first of all, Instagram can get hacked and deleted, which does for a lot of people. You can like lose your memory. You can lose your password. Snapchat is one of those things, like, even like if you do lose your password, they do have a way for you to get it back unless you like absolutely lost everything. But like my Snapchat, I've had Snapchat since like 2014. I had it in high school. Whenever it first came, like
I think Snapchat and Instagram came out when we were like juniors in high school, and I remember being like another one.
Yeah, literally, because I didn't get Facebook until high school because I wasn't like too. A social. I had MySpace like way back in the day, but it was literally just because I wanted to deck out my profile, and that there was nothing more to it. And then like
middle school is all about flexing.
Yeah, well, I didn't even do that because I went to like a really small school. So like nowadays, like even Facebook, I'm like most of the people on my Facebook that are my friends are like, well, actually no, I won't. Let me not hide. You guys can't see that, but I definitely quoted that. Like, they aren't really my friends. But my friends, like, on Facebook are people that I, like, have met along the way and actually, like, check in. I'm like, oh, it's nice to see how you're doing. But I don't use, like, there is a way to use it for, like, other things. But as far as, like, the archive system, it's just not the same. Snapchat can tell you what day, what time, what you were doing, and why you were doing it for the most part.
The thing about Snapchat is, like, I always found that, like, when you launched it and you were just trying to go right into using the camera, it was always just really, really smooth. And you could hit save to memories, like, from right there. Yep. So a lot of the time, I would take photos and videos just for the sole purpose of sending it to their cloud, because I didn't have to save it onto my phone, but then I could go back to it later in like this infinite data storage service. Guys, Snapchat gives us like infinite data storage for videos and photos, basically.
What is that? Dropbox. It's like Dropbox, but free for your photos and recordings of like everything. And I can't imagine like skip the cloud, even if you, because like that's like it's universal. That's the thing. That's like, oh my gosh, I'm team iPhone, I'm team Android. It's like, no, you can be team Snapchat, and then you have all your memories.
Snapchat's also the reason everybody uses Bitmoji.
Because oh my gosh, when they integrated, that was the best thing ever.
They must feel so fucked over. Like they started so many of the main trends right now.
I mean, majority of like the phones like have adopted the things that Snapchat already had integrated when it first came out. Because like I think about Snapchat, like when it first came out, it was the chats, it was the pictures and the save them and the battery, like, you know, the data memory, and then it also had like the added features of you can add effects to your pictures and like without being a professional person that does Photoshop, because like this was before when people were still using Photoshop for everything. Now there's like all you know, 1,000,005 apps for it, but like Snapchat was like a pioneer as far as like you can alter your picture in this moment from what you're doing, and you can also share it with whoever you want.
You know what's crazy? Tumblr sold themselves to Yahoo for $1 billion years ago, and then Yahoo sold it to Verizon for like $9 million, and now Verizon sold it to the company that owns WordPress for like $3 million. So Tumblr went from being worth $1 billion to $3 million.
In not a lot of time.
And if you go to Tumblr right now, it's identical to how it was in high school.
Yeah.
Like, it's not different at all.
Nothing has changed. I do still have Tumblr. I didn't really use it.
I used it a lot in high school, and like I made a new one recently just to kind of dick around. I barely use it, but like it's exactly the same. And sometimes people say like, "Oh, Tumblr's not as good as it used to be," or
it is
or
the
they got rid
exact
of
same forum that it has always been.
People always say they got rid of the porn. You can't get rid of the porn from even
The
if
internet is forever. People, you gotta stop saying that.
Even if they scrubbed thousands of accounts, people are re-uploading like a dump truck. Like there's not
the internet. Like okay, like I said, the internet is forever, but like the internet also has like everything on it. So it's like even if you take it away, it's like it's probably been captured by someone that can put it right back where it was.
My only point is that if we're all fed up with like Twitter and Instagram, we could just take it back to Tumblr and Snapchat.
I don't know. I'm like a pro Snapchat person because like you know this. I've never like I've
you
never,
don't use Instagram, yeah.
I try, but I'm just like so used to Snapchat. Why would I want Instagram? That's how I feel when I use it. Like I'm really trying to use my Instagram. I actually started posting again, and I'm trying to like actually. I don't even like when it comes to Instagram. It's to the point like I'll get messages and DMs, and like I don't go on there. I didn't know how to check my DM for like months. I had messages and it told me, and I didn't know.
See, now I realize that Instagram is just LinkedIn. Basically, like it's just where people run their businesses and their art accounts, and like for that reason it is very, very useful for me. I like Instagram a whole lot, honestly, but at first when I found out that they were introducing stories, I got mad because I didn't even want to watch all the Snapchat stories I had to my disposal. So when I found out Instagram was getting them, I just didn't do the update for like 2 months, and then when I finally got it, I was like, there's too many things to check.
See, it's kind of bad, but like I don't check people's stories. Like I do watch people, like it's weird, like because of social media I check in on people through social media, but like I'm not like one of those people that's like I'm actively viewing. As far as like Instagram though, I do agree as far as like because now I am working to like focus more on my tarot and like I'm thinking about using my like Instagram for my business more so. And so in that, like now that I'm viewing it in that aspect, it's definitely a lot more useful and a lot more helpful than like I probably wouldn't have as much luck on Snapchat trying to promote things in the same way.
Yeah, you do tarot card readings. You were saying though, like part of you wants to like use social media for that, and then the other part of you doesn't want to hear the feedback.
Well, okay, so like I'm okay, not necessarily like the feedback. Like I mean, there's always feedback. Realistically, if I post it anywhere, someone can like find me personally and be like, "Hey, you suck," which that's tough. There's someone always that's gonna think you suck, but regardless of that, it's like I don't know if I want to use such a like wide platform for what I do, because like the way I view like my tarot and stuff that I do, it's like really spiritual, kind of like close to me. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to put that on camera. Like that's weird. Like what if I start crying? Like because it sometimes like I
feel like a lot of those tarot people do that though.
Well, I'm an empathic person. Not everyone's an empath. So it's like sometimes I'm reading stuff and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can feel all of the feelings that you were feeling, and it is a lot of feelings for me to feel, and I don't know if I was prepared for this. So like to do that on camera, it's like a very vulnerable position to put myself in. But like I've noticed for myself is like I'm kind of afraid to put myself in that like vulnerable position, because I made music for years and I haven't expressed my music because it's like, ooh, I don't know if I want to be that vulnerable to people, to like have them like actually hear. Look, like Erykah Badu said, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. I'll be sensitive, man.
I was sorry, I was just questioning my levels for a sec. No, I was like the shyest person ever for like the vast majority of my life, but I've also always liked doing art, and just more and more and more I would listen to the people who like I really enjoy or get inspired by. I just kind of, there's just always this reoccurring theme of like you won't really enjoy yourself unless you just decide to not give a shit what other people think and just do things because you enjoy it. But of course, if you're genuinely only doing something because you enjoy it, then, you know, it's a hobby. So then the question is like, do you want to make a life out of this? And for me, like, yeah, I do want to make a life out of like filmmaking and all the other things I do. So I throw stuff on the internet like what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have my fair amount of thinking like, oh, was this good? Was this bad? Will people think I'm stupid? But inevitably, I just can't care about that because it's a waste of time.
Right. Well, it's not so much that I'm worried about like how people will receive it as much as I'm worried about like
being judged.
Do I? No, I'm not. I could give a shit about that part. Most, if you know me, you know I really don't care. But as far as like, I don't know if I want to, because like when I'm doing readings, like if I don't want to like trigger something in someone, because I do like sometimes I tap into things that like I don't want things to hit people in the wrong way, especially if they don't know me personally. So it's like kind of hard when it comes to like my balance on doing tarot online. My music, I could do that. I'm just reluctant for no reason because I haven't actually put the work into it, and it's like more of like a side hobby versus like when I was a kid, it was my life. I was like, oh my gosh, I'll sing anywhere and everywhere to anyone. Whereas now it's like, nah, I just wrote some stuff. I kind of sang it. It was cool, and I keep it in my back pocket or in my notes. And so I have like music and stuff in my notes, but it's just not like, it's not like it's a hobby. It's truly a hobby, not necessarily like this is what I want to do with my life anymore. Because like at one point when I was a kid, like, you couldn't tell me I wasn't going to be a singer. But like realistically, I feel like if I were to transition the joy and the peace, like music is like meditation for me. So if I took that and tried to turn it into my career, I don't think it would be that same escape, that same freeing, like happy feeling that I get. And not because I would be being judged, but just because it would be work. Like I actually have to put work into consistently, like giving something, and then there would be the added precedent of the expectations, which for me personally, I just enjoy like every now and then throwing some stuff on a track. Not necessarily, I don't want to do this every day. I don't necessarily want to. I don't see myself sitting out in a studio for 8 hours trying to come up with the best song
Even
ever.
That being said, though, like a lot of my favorite people on YouTube are people who are really good at things, but it seems like they're doing it from a hobbyist approach, because like there's this one guy and he plays like really, really smooth like Stratocaster guitar, almost as if it's like loungy jazz style, but he does covers of like Kanye and Travis Scott and things like that, and it's really, really good. And he but the way he films it and like uploads it, it's just like a very basic camera shot of him in like his bedroom or living room or whatever, just like playing these covers. But they have like millions of views, and then like he gets them on Spotify and this and that, and like, you know, for all I know, he does take it very, very seriously and tries very hard, which he probably does. But the point is like he's not like doing this crazy setup. He's just, you know, putting a camera on a tripod, hitting record, playing a song.
That I would totally do. I would totally do covers if it wasn't like a big old copyright thing, but like I don't play an instrument, so I can't switch it up enough. But like I would totally stylistically like that would be, I would do a YouTube channel as fun. But like I'm talking like go to the studio and taking music serious. Like I don't know that I could. Well, let me not say that I could, but like I don't know that I would want to because it might take away the like joy that it's brought me for so long.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at, though. Like, for all you know, if you just like uploaded you singing in the house every Sunday, like people would be like, "Oh, this girl's like really, really good." I'm not saying you specifically need to do that.
Well, I know you would be like on the. You'd be like, "Yeah, hey, my friend's doing a thing. Do the." I know.
I would share it.
And exactly. So that's why I'm like, if I do that, then people are gonna be like, "Where's she at this Sunday? What you doing?"
Fuck them. If you miss a week, I've been feeling really bad about myself because this is the first podcast I've done in 3 months.
Fair.
But also, fuck them.
Also very true. And while I am a very like big, like, you know, I don't give a fuck. I don't like setting people, like, I don't like people thinking that I give a fuck, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want to
like whoever's watching or listening to this, if you made it this far, like, I love you. Thank you.
Thank
but
you.
Also, if you've been like, Zane's taken 3 months, whatever. Like,
go back. But sorry.
Yeah.
It took so long, but
yeah.
You're here.
You were saying you think you have like a theory on going viral or something like that?
Okay.
Or you just have thoughts on people who go viral?
I have thoughts on it. Because, I guess I won't say I have thoughts on like the going viral aspect. Like I do know how they're doing it. Like some people are buying it, some people are like just super promo, and some people are just putting themselves in the position to like.
If you like really want to game a system, you could probably like study what people are doing and replicate it to an extent. But the problem is that's what the majority of people try to do, but like really, really poorly, and it's sad.
I would rather organically like become noticed than like I'm gonna do some crazy shit so people notice me, because that's
Yeah.
like I'm just so me that I don't even know what I would do. That like
Yeah, there. Lil Dicky had that show come out, Dave, and
Yeah.
I was skeptical about it, but I checked it out, and there was this one plot line in there that I thought was pretty funny, where like he was just like, fine, let's go viral, and he wears the Jim Carrey mask outfit, like the yellow suit, and he just starts going in public and just yelling nonsense, and it just is this montage of like the millions of Vines or TikTok
Vines.
or whatever just going up. He's like, okay, we like
We did it.
as if he was just like, okay, we've tried everything, let's just go get viral real quick.
I mean, honestly though, like the way that the media is working, it's working. Like people are going viral, and like from there actually starting what it is that they intend to do. So it's like, I don't know, I'm not knocking the viral people. Like, do your thing, because it's working for them. Like I know there's a girl, she was like 18. She literally went viral for having short hair and not being able to put her hair in a ponytail. Like that is what she went viral for. And like because she turned into a meme.
Sure.
Because it was hilarious, but it wasn't that wasn't the initial intention.
Yeah.
Like,
No, the goal to everything is to be a meme these days, honestly.
I mean, I watched a YouTube video about a girl like turned into a meme, and she was not trying to be a meme.
Well, to be a meme is kind of to be a brand in a sense. Like Andrew Yang understood that very well, of just like fully embracing how many memes were made about him.
Mm-hmm.
And to that point, I'm always just like, why did Cory Booker not double down on Cory in the House memes?
Oh man,
How crazy is that?
Dude, I
that a
would've
black
upped
dude
those.
named Cory was running for president, and his whole
I
thing
would've done
wasn't
it.
Cory in the House.
I would have done it.
That's crazy to me.
I probably wouldn't have like officially done it, but
I would
definitely
have
unofficially.
officially done it.
I know you would have. I would have unofficially done it just because, like,
Cory Booker should have been retweeting Cory in the House memes. That's all I'm saying.
okay, he shouldn't have not. Okay, I'm guessing his people were like, you can't do that.
Don't listen to him. Trump approved.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Double down on the meme.
Double down. Embrace the meme.
Yeah.
Embrace the meme that you can be.
Yeah.
I don't know that I want to be a meme.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, but I mean,
you want to have control over
you want
your
to be
memeology.
a controlled meme, but
You
like
don't-
don't like so intent. If you're gonna be a meme, make yourself the meme. Don't be memed. Like
Yeah.
no one wants to be memed. It's like, but you are definitely down to like meme yourself. Like if you can meme yourself and you just like run like blow it up, which is what happened with the girl that like went viral. And like when I tell you that girl
Yeah.
like literally has monopolized on going viral off of like a mess up, like literally like her being herself and just life happening. She like has she's a million, honestly I'm sure her net worth is all upwards of $1 million, if not close.
Do you ever think about like the kids who were like Vines in the past, and you're like, where are they now?
Dude,
Like the damn Daniel kid, how's he doing? What's
do you remember Lil Tay?
Yeah, Lil Tay.
Dude, do you know what happened to her?
No.
Okay, so sorry. Snapchat.
I hope Terrio's doing well.
He's a rapper now.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, he's still like the same size, but he's like
Fuck it up,
a bigger
Terrio.
version of himself because
Yeah.
he's grown up. But
Oh.
yeah,
He's not the same age?
nah, man, nah. But no, okay, Lil Tay, you remember Lil Tay?
Yeah.
Lil Tay was wild.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you showed me Lil Tay because
It's
I don't remember. Like,
It's possible.
yeah. Anyway, Lil Tay. Apparently her parents like got into it about her and being famous and like how she was going viral.
Yeah.
And so she got like, she can't be viral. She can't make videos like at all right now. Like can't post on social media because her parents are in court.
Oh.
And like fighting over like how she's gonna get to be famous. That's literally what her parents are fighting about in court. And it's like, right. But it's like, dude, that's one of those aspects of like social media. It's like, okay, it's one thing when like you're memeing yourself, but now
Yeah.
people are like memeing their kids and like trying to get their kids to blow up. And it's like, your kid might enjoy it at the moment, but then I think about like Britney Spears right now, and that's like,
Oh, she's not good.
exactly. And it's like there are kids like right now that are being watched at that same like level as far as like social media is watching them. They now have paparazzi in their little kids.
Have you seen Britney Spears on
Yes,
like Instagram?
I'm very
You see how
worried
she's like
about-
talking like a baby?
She's going through a
You
lot.
see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I posted her on my Snapchat because I was like actually concerned. I used to love Britney Spears as a kid, like everyone.
When I think of the year 2002, I think Pepsi and Britney Spears.
Britney. That was Britney's year.
And NSYNC.
Honestly. But it's like I remember I was on Snapchat. I love Snapchat, guys. I really do. So I was on Snapchat and like her Snapchat popped up and I just was like, oh my gosh, it's Britney Spears. Like, what's she doing with her life today?
And you were like,
I was
uh-oh.
like, oh my gosh, is she okay? And it's like, she's probably not. And I, like, when I think about it, because like I was talking about with social media, it's like Britney was famous in a time where social media wasn't as prominent as it is. So it's like she actually had people showing up at her house to find out what she was doing in a day. And
like people do that to Jake Paul even still now, but like
they do, but it's like it's different. And I say that because when you go from like being like the actual full media is actually focused on you versus now it's just social media.
Yeah.
When you're more like familiar with the real world, like Brittney was, I'm sure that is a really hard like concept or like. There's something I know that, like, I don't know. I feel like that would mess me up psychologically to go from having the level of attention and having to like worry about everyone worrying about my every move to now if I want people to know what I'm doing, I have to record myself or I have to show people what I'm doing or make myself relevant. And it's to the point where it's like what she once knew is no longer like the real world.
Yeah, I get sad sometimes when I think about people who I was a really big fan of and they were relatively on top of the world, but just because of the long-term marketability of what they do, like the latter half of their life will be kind of mundane. Like for instance, the band Passion Pit. Like Passion Pit was like my third favorite musician in high school. I still love them a lot. That dude's probably like in his 40s or so, and in theory he could just do some breakout album that's crazy the way Arctic Monkeys kind of did later in their career, but like more likely than not, it's like Passion Pit might just not be a thing for the rest of his life. So then it's like these people that have experienced like
ultimate
stardom, success, touring around, people loving them. Like it seems kind of scary being a level of artist where you get used to like the highest a high you could get besides like going to like Kanye lengths, and then living like the second half of your life.
We've had that conversation of like when I remember like a long time ago you were like, would you ever do music serious? And I was like, I don't know, because I'm really scared of being famous. Like I really mean that because I cannot like that would fuck my head up. Like you have to go from like literally everyone being concerned and worried and focused about your level of success and like the maintenance of it, and then the transition to what if I don't want to continue doing this, or what if it doesn't continue, like people don't continue to care, which most of the time people don't continue to care because it's a phase.
I think that's why you just really genuinely have to do things for yourself and just not really care about comments or perception or this or that, because it's like in theory you can be like a Lady Gaga type but then also be completely out of the loop of what people say about you. Like Joe Rogan is like a perfect example. Like he's like the biggest media conglomerate in existence, but he also like doesn't really pay attention to comments or anything, and he literally just does things because he wants to do them. And that seems like Kanye and Donald Trump both are two people who are like at the height of what they wanted to do, but they also are way too aware of what people think of them.
Exactly.
And like Kanye seems sadly beholden to what people think of him,
and it's so unfortunate.
It's so unfortunate.
And Kanye is like, I have a soft spot in my heart for Kanye because I have so much respect for his artistry. Like in all aspects, that man is an artistic genius. Yeah. But as far as like when you like I said, when the same thing with Brittney, like that man went from like everyone wanting to be Kanye and wanting to be like Kanye and wanting to understand how Kanye was so amazing to what's wrong with Kanye? Is Kanye okay? Is he cool? Like why is he acting like this? And it's like I can't imagine having to go through like my regular like I'm not okay right now, and then everyone in the world is literally like, oh, you've lost your mind, you're batshit crazy, you're not okay. And it's like, you have, especially when you have, like, in his situation, you have an actual mental illness. You have things that you have to, like, for yourself. Yeah. You go through real life because you're a real person.
Yeah, I want to backtrack really quick. What I was saying about Trump, fuck Trump, and he should know what people say about him. He's honestly a bad example. My only point is that he is a person where it's very obvious that he's reading the comments and he knows the memes about himself while other people don't. Like, I don't think Bernie knows the Bernie memes.
Absolutely
But
not.
back to Kanye. That's another
Yeah,
tangent.
fuck
Trump should know. But back
should.
to Kanye. So with Kanye, the fucked up part with him is like, we'll talk about the mental illness thing next, but in terms of people just criticizing his art and thinking he lost it, that started during the Yeezus era, and Yeezus is like aging so beautifully.
It's
like
funny.
that album is a lot of people's favorite Kanye album now, and like for me it's like maybe even like top 3, top 2. It's like one of his best work in my opinion. The stuff he talks about on it is like extraordinarily relevant, and if you even go back to a lot of the interviews he conducted in that 2013 era compared to now, and not even compared to now, just objectively, a lot of the stuff he was saying kind of makes a bit of sense, and he wasn't even that crazy yet. People just so are.
I don't think Kanye's crazy. That's what I want to say.
Well,
like,
yeah, no, I don't
as
think
far
he.
as, like the way that he's perceived, I can wholeheartedly understand why people have just taken the fact that he's crazy and run with it.
Yeah,
but
no,
I very much believe that first of all, like I said, he's an artist. He's very much in tune to like the things that are going on around him, and the way that he views the world is a lot different than I'm sure other people do.
Yeah,
and because of that, like. When he says things like he was saying on Yeezus, and people are like viewing it out of context, and like even when he did interviews about it, people were like, "So are you saying we're slaves?" Like, no.
Yeah, and he's like
kind of, but not really.
Well, the other thing is like art has always been a thing where you can do like metaphorical representations of things. It's just with rap, because you're saying something as your name, people take it really literally, but it's like you technically should be able to do a think piece track about how like we're slaves to consumerism and Apple products and like luxury brands, and that's what the song New Slaves was.
It is.
But people were like, oh, so you're saying this is
exactly, you're saying we're enslaved? Is that what you're saying? You're saying we gave our freedom up?
And then when it came to I Am a God, like also like just a fun song,
right?
But then also people just hated the idea. People are like really finger waggy about pretentiousness, especially with rap, and like that's like there's a whole myriad of reasons of what goes into that.
Yeah.
And yeah, he got into the thick of it with that album alone, and like looking back, I'm like, he was pretty rational back then compared to now.
But okay, so that's where I'm like, okay, that's where it goes from like you're a normal person and you're just portraying and giving. Putting your art out there.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, now his art has literally made him crazy. Because he was like, I really believe, like, it's funny that you bring up that point, because Yeezus, he was at a very good point. He was still very much in tune with himself. He
was hot off of the tails of his, like, most popular album, too.
Right. Like, well, Kanye was riding a fucking cloud for years, because he was just in I want to say like he had been so removed from the views that other people had.
Well, after the Taylor Swift thing happened, there was like a little bit of a fallout, but then he gave us Twisted Fantasy and he made up for it, and then he made like Watch the Throne and Cruel Summer and Yeezus in this just trifecta period, and like people were like, he was riding a wave at that time.
When Kanye wasn't trying to prove to people anything, he was at his best. But I don't want to blame his wife, but I feel like when he became more so in the media, as far as like the media connection, people know who he's married to, people know who his kids are, what his kids are doing.
Yeah.
Like
it's almost a Greek tragedy that he fell in love with Kim Kardashian.
It is.
Because it's like, not only do I believe that he loves her, but on paper, that's like the worst person in the world, or worst he could have married into.
Right.
In terms of just the family, because he's like the antithesis of like TMZ culture, and then he married into the hive of TMZ culture.
From not having to be worried about, I mean, people obviously still followed him and wanted to know what he was doing, but he was able to maintain a certain level of like secrecy and anonymity as far as like his day-to-day life. But then he went to being married to Kim Kardashian, and it's like, oh my god, everybody wants to know what underwear she's wearing today, not even just like what clothes her, like it's that deep. And I can't imagine wanting to like be from his standpoint. Like, I'm sure he comes from a place of like, I just want to protect my family and I want my family to be okay, which at this point has probably made him go crazy, because there's not much he can do, because his family is so open and available to the public.
The way I look at it is the implications of being deeply mentally ill and a billionaire alone are really high implications, but then throw in on top of that you're legitimately good at what you do to an influential level, those three things combined is really fucking dangerous, because if you were just a billionaire and you didn't have like an ounce of talent, you're surrounded by yes men.
Yep.
If you're as influential and creative as he is, if you get delusions of grandeur, they're not even really delusions, because you actually are.
They can become your reality.
Because you actually are really good at everything you do. And then if your whole ethos is based around doing things that people say you can't, if you get it in your mentally ill mind that you should be president,
you're gonna
and now you're surrounded by yes men who probably aren't making sure that you get the medical treatment you need, and you get all this inside thoughts of like why you think you should do it, like that combination is really fucked up.
It is. It's a very toxic cycle. I feel like a lot of people, especially in modern society, are surrounded by people, especially because of social media. And it's ironic because social media, you're typically friends with people that agree with or have the same viewpoints as you, unless you know them in real life or they're family members.
Yeah.
Therefore, like, when it comes to you surrounding and the things that you receive as far as like information, this goes for everyone, because like every aspect of life, if you're on social media, you're seeing stuff that is either someone else's opinion or an opinion, period. Therefore, it's going to impact what you think. But if you're, like you said, in the position of Kanye, and you're only surrounding yourself with people that agree with the things that you say, that becomes the lay of the land. He's
literally building a commune, basically.
He is.
Yeah. So
he's
it's like
building a religion. This man has the capacity to be like, that's what people don't understand. And it's like Cardi B, sorry, just random, but Cardi B made a statement about like when she was coming up about how she's not here to be an idol or to be, like looked up to. She's just here to make her music, and she makes what sells. She herself has actually acknowledged that she wouldn't let her daughter listen to her music because it's not for her daughter. It's for whatever. She makes strip club music, and because she was a stripper, and that's what she makes, and that's what sells, and that's what she's branded with. But it's like when you have that influence, like she's struggling. One of the things that like many celebrities that become extremely prominent very quickly that they struggle with is like, how do I get people to understand that I am still a human being and I'm still growing, and I might have ideas, but when they're surrounded by people that are like, oh, you're right about everything. Like Kanye lost his mom. He lost the only person that's probably ever going to really keep it real with him as far as like, nigga, you're tripping. Like, dude, you can't do that. Dude, you can't do that.
Yeah, and like when you have a track record of being like so right about so many things in terms of just like music and doing and going against the grain, now you're like, okay, people are telling me I'm crazy, but I don't know. I have a good history of proving people wrong. And we're like, this isn't the one. This is really not the one you're going to be right about.
You're not, but it's like when you reach that level, you're no longer on the same like plane as everyone else. So you can't even, it's hard to distinguish what's reality versus like what's
I'm so glad that he has like Dave Chappelle as a friend to.
I'm honestly even glad he has Justin Bieber. Like Justin Bieber went to Wyoming and was like, "Yo, dude."
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
I've been like meaning to talk about Justin too. Yeah, like everything we're talking about in terms of like just being in the limelight from an early age. Like Justin Bieber could have so easily become a Britney Spears situation.
He was on the line. He did.
We're lucky he just egged some houses and got like some like tickets. Like.
Because and that's one of those things that I think about when it comes to a lot of celebrities. Like even, okay, for example, Usher. Usher was huge at like 15. For
when I think Usher, I think backflips.
I'm crying. That's hilarious. Well, people forget that he does backflips. They like out here trying to compare him to Chris Brown and said that he do dance off and all that. And
when I said backflips, I thought Chris Brown.
Oh my gosh, I'm so done.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, but no, it's like when it comes to like those people that have been in the limelight for so long, people are like waiting for like, what are you gonna do next? Are you gonna do something? Are you doing it? Is this what you're doing?
You know who fights against that really, really well? I mean, this actually isn't who I was going to say. It's stating the obvious, Childish Gambino and Frank Ocean. But in terms of people who are like really, really like limelight figures, Rihanna.
Facts.
Rihanna doesn't give a fuck. She's going to do what she wants when she wants to. And that's that.
I've been obsessed with her for since I found out she existed. Like for real, bought her first album and was like, you are going to be amazing. I would like to say
I slept on Rihanna for a long time because of just how like anti-pop music and hipstery I was in like middle school and stuff. But like
very right.
The Anti album though, like, is so good, and it's been like sometimes people are like, it's been 3 years. I'm like, that sounds like a reasonable amount of time to like have some life experiences and make like a good body of work.
3 years, and she's been like killing shit. She started her own like corporation. Like Fenty Beauty is on another level. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, that's how you know it's on another level. She has Fenty Beauty, Savage X Fenty, and then she has her actual, like, couture line of Fendi.
Yeah.
And then she has, aside from that, she's, what is it? I can't think of what it's called. Oh my gosh, why? She's an ambassador. She's an ambassador for Barbados. What?
Like the country?
What? Yes! Like, huh? Like, you think she has time? I'm sorry. I'm not mad at Rihanna for not making it out. Do your shit, sis. You're, like, taking over the world.
That's
Please
dope.
continue doing that.
Yeah.
I would rather see you do that and show people that you don't. Because she's, like, doing that. She's not married. She's not worried about other shit. She's doing things that she's, like, I just want to do this with my life because I can.
Yeah.
And she's putting herself in the position, like, she's been through the whole, I'm in relationships in the media eye, and she's been through the whole, all of that. But she's turned it into, this is what I'm doing now.
And there's even some people where like their art suffers because of their relationship with like fame and stuff, like Chance, for instance, but then at least he's still living like a really fulfilling other life. Like he gives back to the community like a lot. He like helps the youth a lot. He is like very indebted to Chicago in ways that Kanye like doesn't seem to be as much, you know, like like back like a year ago he was like, I'm gonna move here and never leave, then he left immediately.
See, it's complicated. I can understand why, like, from my standpoint, because I've been in those areas. Like, I grew up in Indianapolis. Like,
and I'm not even trying to put that on Kanye. My only point is, like, there's people like Chance who, like, really, really do a lot, even if their, like, last album isn't so great. But it's just sad that Kanye does seem to still just care so much about what people think, because if he didn't, he would be...
If he didn't, he'd be able to focus on himself. And that's one of the things that I think that comes down to, like, honestly, I feel like as a society, we would be so much more progressive if we were more focused on, like, ourselves than rather than, like, what other people are doing. Because when you take the time to, like, actually just separate yourself from all the things that other people are doing, you aren't worried about catching up or, like, competing with what they're doing and making it look like you're doing things, or whatever. You're not worried about the appearance of anything. You're just focused on the reality of what is. And if more people focused on reality, we would have probably a better reality, because right now this thing is going to hell in a handbasket, like, really fast, because people are so focused on things that are, I don't want to say irrelevant, but there a lot of things that are irrelevant is what we're focusing on. Like, okay, for example, we had a whole presidential debate, vice presidential debate. I'm going to focus on the vice presidential debate. The only thing I know about the vice presidential debate, one, I didn't even know it was airing, but the only thing I found out about it was there was a fly on Mike Pence's head, and Kamala Harris was making a smirk face the whole time, because that's all that mattered. And that's really not important. And it's like, that's scary to me.
Yeah, no, I was really disappointed last year in people, because I was like really trying to like bang the drum about Yang from like February on, because I found out about him in February of last year, and that early part of last year is like really where you could kind of start to get people
that's when you get the buzz.
on board with new ideas, new candidates, this and that, have discussions before the debates start a number of months later. But I really didn't like all the progressive friends of mine who I see like posting on social media now, like fervently ever since the Black Lives Matter stuff that happened like in May and whatnot. I didn't see most of those people caring about the presidential race until like the November debates, when people were like freaking out that they thought Bernie might lose. But I was like, guys, if like you care about Bernie this much, you should have been talking about this in like March.
But the reality of it is, like, because like I said, the world we live in, it didn't affect the right now. It didn't affect the reality.
No, yeah.
And so that's why most people didn't focus on it. It didn't matter. It wasn't real.
Well,
the same way Donald Trump became president. Like it wasn't real. Like, it was a thing that they saw on social media. Oh, Donald Trump's running up for president.
And to give people like the benefit of the doubt, I don't think all these people are like slackers or awful people. It's just really what it is life is hard, and people generally don't care about things until it's directly affecting them. It's just, I think more and more we need to learn the lesson that that's how bad things happen, and you got to kind of care about things earlier than you think you need to care about them.
And if not, then we're gonna keep repeating sick, vicious cycles. Like every day we have the like opportunity to make choices that can like literally alter the future. So it's like, if more people would have cared about the election or thought to care about the fact that we are going to have to decide on a new leader of the free world, even though I don't know if we're, like, at that time, then we would be having a totally different conversation as far as, like, what's happening. But it's like, it's sad and unfortunate. Like, right now, I really feel like I've been having, like, a lot of Twilight Zone moments and, like, deja vu when it comes to the election. It's like, I feel like everything that Donald Trump is doing, he's, like, already told us he's going to do in advance, and then we're, like, still surprised when he does it.
Yeah.
And it's scaring me that that it's still happening. Like, the cycle of people not believing that he's going to do what he says he's going to do after he says he's going to do it, and then we're like, oh, nah, it's not going to affect us, it's not real, and then it happens, and it's like, it's real.
Well, something I really like that, like, Yang said on the trail is, like, we shouldn't be surprised when Donald Trump confirms that he is Donald Trump for the millionth time. And in other words, a lot of the news junkets, and even, like, during the debates, they would spend so much time trying to get the candidates to talk about Trump or what's currently, going on in DC, instead of, like, the actual, like, on the ground problems that people are facing. Exactly. And it's just kind of like, hey, like, the more time you spend talking about this, the less
people are going to pay attention to that.
But then also the less time you have to just discuss, like, positive solutions and outlooks towards the future. Right. And it's like, you can get people really siloed in what's wrong, or you can kind of gain some momentum and people getting excited about new ideas.
And that's why, and that's what it comes back to with, as far as, like, if we were more so in reality, it'd be so much easier to be progressive than, like, to worry about how we're going to fix a problem that once it's already happened, as we've done with multiple situations that have happened within this year alone. Like, generally, there's so many things that could have been avoided, but because we were so focused on the, like, altered reality and the media and the way that it appeared, that we didn't actually proactively interrupt or do something to make sure it didn't happen. And as far as, like, going forward, I would like to hope that we aren't looking to repeat the same vicious cycles. So it's like, the importance as far as, like, the things that we're conscious of now, we have to remain conscious of, but we also have to remain focused on, like, the changes as far as, like, if you know you want to change something, like, you can't just, like, I want to change that, and then, like, not care for, like, 3 months and then come back to it, because the problem will still be there, and more than likely it will have festered and grown into something.
Well, see, like, most of the candidates wound up going on The Breakfast Club last year, and I remember when Buttigieg was on The Breakfast Club, Charlemagne asked all of them specifically, like, what's your plan to help Black Americans? I remember Buttigieg said, like, we're going to have to talk about this, and we're going to have conversations about that. And he was just describing, like, different inequities. And because people say the buzzwords, like, he's saying, like, oh, you're acknowledging that that's real, you're acknowledging that's real, people go, yes, that's a good answer. But it's like, no, like, bitch, we need what
is the actual answer to the question? What's your standpoint? How do you view? What do you look at? What does it mean to you? How does it impact you? How do you plan on making changes? Those are the things that people don't actually take into consideration. And it's like, honestly, when I do try to watch, I can't watch the debates because I get so frustrated, because I'm like, I don't know that you're asking the right questions of these people, because they already are so I'll say subconsciously removed from society, because it's weird. Politicians are people, but they're not people because they haven't been in the real world, because they've been politicking. Yeah. And it's like, what are we doing telling these people, like, and that's the thing, like, we're not even telling them what we want anymore. It's just like, yeah, you're the one. And it's like, you're the one for what? Like, what are we expecting these people to do after we put them in office? Because most of the time we haven't even asked them, like, what do you want to do in office? It's like, these things are wrong. That's great.
Yeah, no,
and then what?
We're like patting people on the back for just even acknowledging problems. And that's like what a lot of the social media activism is too, is just throwing, like, atrocities on their stories and being like, okay, I participated today. And I'm just kind of like the things I mostly post about are, like, getting people to be aware of universal basic income, and, like, right now, like, data rights and privacy rights and things like that, because we could talk infinitely about what's so fucked up about the social media companies and how our data is being sold, and how, like, that's gonna turn into, like, a fucking multi-country apocalypse later if we don't get some good legislation around artificial intelligence standards and data standards, and how all of our information is being used. We
gotta get a lid on that before it even gets booming.
But, like, Los Angeles right now, you can vote yes on Prop 204, and that's, like, supposed to, like, further the advancements of data as, like, a human right in California, and then in turn, like, maybe some other states will follow suit. And it's like, I just try to, like, post about specific things, you know.
I wish more people would focus on the matters rather than the people, because realistically, if you can organize your thoughts on and actually have a standpoint and a position on the things that matter, then it's easy to dictate and delegate where you would like to, I guess, put your loyalty or your faith in as far as a politician that's going to make it happen.
Prop 207 in Arizona.
That's a good one.
Yeah, the legal weed bill.
Definitely, yes. So,
dude, when we see, like, in Arizona, we voted on legal weed the last election, and there's so many fucking ASU kids here. I thought it was going to be a slam dunk, and we fumbled that bag so hard.
So this is the thing that I, like, took into consideration with us not getting it the last time. A good portion, as even though we do have, like, a vast majority of people in ASU, like, as far as, like, within our generation, not all of them are registered to vote here. So
that's true.
That's, like, one of those things. It's like, you can, it's kind of hard because, like, I do notice a lot of people, like, or a lot of politicians or a lot of political parties will focus on, like, the college campuses, but it's like, you can focus on that, but it's like you have to expand further than that, because it's not all of them are here to vote for here. And even though they may be like, oh yeah, I hope that passes, it's like, are you registered to vote here? Like, that's the first question.
It's just so, like, Chuck Schumer, he freaking tweeted like a month or so ago, like, it's America has progressed to the need to decriminalize marijuana, and I'm like, bitch, this is just legalize it. Like, what? The fact that you're getting Democratic majority leadership just now advancing to the idea of decriminalizing, I'm like, guys.
The one thing that I will say is that I do hope that it is decriminalized rather than legalized, because there is a very big difference.
You want it decriminalized, not legalized?
Oh, no, I want both, but I'm saying I want it to be decriminalized and legalized, because with it being decriminalized, that will remove and expunge a substantial amount of charges for something that, in my opinion, it's something that's already been here. So it's like people have been doing this anyway. But as far as, like, I get it, people broke the law, but the amount of people that have been impacted by it, whereas if it becomes legal and they are still faced with, like, I have a felony because I smoked weed.
Low-level drug offense prison sentences are just, like, legal slavery. Like, this shit is just, like, that's not hyperbole.
No,
like, you got
that is
people
actual
in
fact.
prison for ridiculous sentences for things that are so not
obscene and absurd, that
level with what they have done, while people in those same states are, like, smoking legal weed. Like, it don't make any fucking sense.
It's crazy to me. And I mean, in my opinion, I'm really at the point of just, like, you know, we could just really start the whole government over, and I really wish that we could and would, but I mean, it takes some work, but it actually takes communication to make that happen. Like, Australia is doing really big things. You know, they vote individually on all kind of stuff. Like,
well, Australia, it's illegal not to vote.
Exactly.
You have their voting rate is 100%.
Yeah, because it's illegal not to vote, and it's crazy because
it's a holiday too.
Yeah, and you get the day off from work. There's no reason not to vote. In America, we have to take time off. We have to make sure that it's okay if we come in late. We had to be fired for voting, even though it's our alleged legal right and responsibility. And then aside from that, it's like, even though we do vote, the things that we vote on, in my opinion, don't matter, because, like I said, I'm tired of voting for people. I don't want to vote for a person. I'd rather vote on the things that matter. Like, I'd like to think that we've advanced in as a country to the point where majority of us can read well enough to decipher and understand what's being asked of us when we are voting. However, I know there are laws that are worded specifically and intentionally to confuse us. But as far as, like, the propositions and the idea of, at this point in society, we have social media, right? We can take a poll on Instagram, but we can't vote and actually, like, directly inform our government on our stance of what we believe as, like, people. I don't understand why we haven't, as a nation, like, found a forum where I'm not talking like a social media forum, I'm talking like an actual implemented thing on general voting. Like,
well, there's, like, a number of, like, things there that we need to advance. Like, for one thing, like, if we are going to vote online, very legitimately, that needs to be, like, very hack-proof. So, like, one idea, like, Yang floated in terms of getting to online voting is using blockchain, which is the technology that, like, Bitcoin and things are on.
I know about blockchain.
Yeah, like, the whole basis of blockchain is that, like, it's a decentralized network and therefore like not hackable.
Right.
I'm sure that they would still have to work out some kinks.
Kinks, of course.
But yeah, then the other thing, he just did a podcast with this libertarian congressman. His name is Justin. I don't think his last name is Assad, but it's something like that, like Justin Assad or something. And basically he was saying like he's been trying to get this bill passed that like he wrote just called like the Readable Legislation Act, and he's basically trying to make it to where bills in Congress have to be readable, because he was explaining how like all these laws wind up becoming like 1,000, 2,000 pages each, because in the middle of a sentence it'll be like blah blah blah, and then just in parentheses reference this other paragraph on this other page there. So like these bills that this Congress people are reading are thousands of pages long, and
majority of them don't read them, I feel.
Yeah,
like,
no,
like
that's what he said.
Read.
That's what he said, that they don't.
Yeah.
He said that what happens is people will write a bill, it's too confusing to read, and then the people voting on it ask the person who wrote it, what does this do? And the implications there are very slippery.
Exactly, because it's whatever they say it is, but it's not, of course, leaving in or including the sub clauses that you just mentioned.
Yeah, so he was trying to Readable Legislation Act, basically, like that, because honestly, like a lot of young people seem to me like they do want to be more involved. It's just too daunting and confusing, and it makes people lose hope. And
if more people understood like how the country worked or how laws worked, I'm absolutely sure that it would be a very different world that we lived in. However, the fact that there are people whose job it is to be politicians and to politic, like I said, that's the best way I can explain it, because it's literally their job is to politic and view things and make things look like something that
there's this study that says like 30% of their time is spent fundraising. Like a lot of what they're just trying to do is have like job security.
Yeah, because it's so ironic that these
they don't have term limits.
No.
So they're just trying to get in there, basically.
Exactly, because once they're in, then they're living their high life for the rest of their life for the most part, because most of these people, they're products of their community, and they enter a community that they know they're going to win, and then they remain there for the rest of their lives. And it's like, I'm never going to go anywhere. Like, you know, like there are a lot of politicians. I was going to name drop, but it's not even that deep. As far as like, there are different politicians that obviously will run for other offices and still maintain their office. And it's like, dude, you're trying to make a career out of the politicking thing. And that right, when, I don't know, for me, it's like, I understand if you start in politics and you're like, I want to be in Congress, I want to help make these changes, cool. However, when it turns into, I want to be a member of Congress and now I want to be the president because I want to get more power, that makes me really uncomfortable. Like, and that's what a lot of people do.
Well, even like Nancy Pelosi right now, like she keeps not accepting the stimulus bills. And it's like, even if these like Republicans are offering like non-perfect stimulus bills, it's like, bro, get direct money to the people. We're in like a depression right now. Like just accept, like, dude, like Trump and them are literally like offering a $2 trillion stimulus. It's like, just fucking take it, dude.
Yeah. But it's like, it's so, everyone's caught up in the show. I really am just so convinced that everyone, it's not even just like day-to-day people or celebrities, it's like everyone is so convinced that the media is watching and the media is going to be aware, or have, everyone's so conscious of what the media is going to say, or that the fact that the media can say anything, that no one's doing anything. I feel like for a long time, a lot of people just haven't done anything.
Yeah, this congressman was saying how like a lot of other people in Congress essentially do act as if they're celebrities, and he was saying how like the reason there has not been any like comprehensive criminal justice reform since like the murder of George Floyd is because like neither the Democrats or the Republicans are really trying to. And he was saying he was saying how like even though we were in a gridlock during John Boehner, he was a better Speaker of the House than Paul Ryan and Pelosi, for the fact that during Boehner's time, there was like an open amendment process. Yeah. And he was saying that open amendment process ended with Paul Ryan, and it's still not there with Pelosi even. So now nobody's like amending anybody's bills. So people are just like introducing bills
that have not been reviewed by anyone, and then are not reviewed by anyone, and because no one reads them.
And they're like purposefully kind of extreme, so then that way the other side can oppose, and then they can go to the news and say they opposed our thing.
Yeah.
But so he's basically saying like nobody's writing something with the intent of actually getting it through.
Exactly. No one's writing anything or doing anything with the intention of changing anything. It's all with the intentions of looking like they're doing something for the media. And that's like really frustrating when we're in the position we are as a country, where we absolutely need to do anything to move forward. Like, we're in such a stagnant place as far as like our economy, or as far as our education system, as far as our criminal justice reform system, our legal system, our judicial system. Our whole fucking government is just backwards as hell, and we're not doing anything to help our people. And it's the responsibility of the people to do something for the people, but we're putting that faith into people that have no intentions or no association with reality.
I have not lost hope, though, because I think
I'm not hopeless.
No, I think that that's like a foolish way to go, because it's like the second you kind of just submit,
I feel like if I give up or lose faith,
it gets 10 times worse.
Well, they won, because it's like, dude, then I'm one of the people that's doing nothing to make anything happen, and that's exactly what they want, because there's so many. I feel like for generations past, that's what's been happening. People are like, well, they're not doing anything anyway, so I'm just not going to vote. Or they're not doing anything anyway, so I'm not going to make any noise about it. But I don't know. I'm really good at being annoying, and I'm really ready to get on people's nerves about shit.
I see a lot of people get really hopeless on like social media, and I think it's because they're just so fed up with the ridiculousness of what they found themselves in as a new adult that they forget that they're part of the larger tapestry of time that's been dealing with these same problems, but worse versions of them. You know, in the past, like I see people saying, like, people are like Democrats or progressives being like, I'm not voting for Joe Biden because he's not good enough, and this sort of shit, or like, you're a racist if you vote for Joe Biden. I'm like, bro, just go with the guy. He's not like, you gotta.
I mean, but it's like, I as much as I understand where it's like, yeah, just go with the guy. It's also like, I also feel that like hindsight feeling of like, dude, this is not the guy. Like, because it's like, like I know. But it's like, we know, but it's like, we have to get to the point where it's like, it's not the guy because we didn't pick the guy. Like, we didn't pick the guy. We didn't pick anyone. We didn't pick Trump. We didn't pick anyone. Like, we are literally just letting things happen, because it's like the people that are doing and are voting, I won't say that they're all consciously voting. They're just like, I'm going to do a thing today, and I'm submitting it.
Older people kicked young people's ass last election in terms of voter turnout.
Because, like I said, I'm so convinced, because of our generation, especially like when I think back to what we were doing during that time period, the election didn't seem like a real thing when Donald Trump entered. And because I remember having conversations like, is he serious?
Well, see, what a lot of people don't remember is he ran the election prior to that one when Obama was running. Yes. He just dropped out really early. But he was like running at the same time Herman Cain was.
Yeah, he was. They were competing against each other.
So when Trump ran last time, I was like, guys, this is serious. He's done this before. He ran in the 80s too.
He's said that he was going to be president before. He's literally acknowledged, like, he's done interviews about this. He said that he's wanted to do this.
He ran in the 80s.
He felt like he had something that he could do for America. And I mean, anyway, I don't know. Like, I have so many like thoughts as far as like the government and the way that we do voting, as far as like, we gotta do it, but I feel like we gotta get better at it. And I mean, in the sense of, because like I said, it's every aspect. It's not just the election. It's like, it's the government, it's the judicial system, it's the legal system, it's the like education system. It's all connected, because if more people were educated about the ways that the government actually impact and can be impacted by the individual person, rather than just, this is what the government did once. And most times that's what we learn in school. It's like, this is what happened when the government did this, and this is what happened when this person was in charge, and this is what happened when this was going on, and this is what we did about that, and that's how things looked. But we don't really talk about, this is why this happened, and this is who people, like, this is what this person did and how they got people to vote for them, and
like, in other words, you're saying like we kind of look at history as like all these landmark moments instead of like the psychology behind like what was going on in a historical context and how and why things happened. And I
feel like that is extremely important, especially because they talk about like in Germany they changed history to make sure that people never forgot certain things that happened in their country.
Yeah.
There's certain things that in our country we just keep letting happen, and we're like not acknowledging, and we aren't, addressing in school or in the real world.
And people deny that things are happening because they look at the landmark progress marks.
Exactly.
Because a lot of time people who are like denying like modern racism, they'll be like, well, we got rid of Jim Crow, we like got rid of slavery, we created these opportunities, so they're looking at it as like a checklist instead of like a ever moving
instead of the
thing.
actual picture. And it's like, because it's easy, okay, like you said, a checklist. They're looking at it as an outline of like, we had to do these things in order to not be racist anymore. And it's like, no, like, you just got to not be racist to not be racist anymore.
We look at like ideological debate in America like a ping pong match where it's like, okay, this is going to be on TV for 60 minutes, so as long as I keep hitting back with something to say, like I've won that round.
I feel like right now when they have presidential debates, like the way that I envision them, it's kind of like your mama jokes, like.
Yeah, no, I mean,
no, like that's basically what we're doing on a live stream for the entire world to watch. And it's kind of sad because now the world is laughing at us. And I would laugh. I'm laughing at us. I'm actually crying on the inside because this is really what we are allowing to happen in our country. And we kind of have to take a little more control.
Well, see, Joe Rogan had on Bernie Sanders, Yang, and Tulsi Gabbard. He had on Tulsi like 3 times, and all of those discussions are like really productive and long, and they were really able to get into like the intricacies of what they were running on. And a lot of people were saying like, oh, Joe, like you should like moderate a debate and have these people in together. And like I thought like, yeah, sure, why not? Like why not have a long form debate format just away from Fox News and CNN and shit holding these things? It turns out it's illegal for presidential candidates to like do media appearances where they're both on stage or on screen together at the same time. So in other words, Bernie literally can't do a media performance alongside Andrew Yang because of like I don't know if it's the DNC rules or just the White House rules. I don't know how that works. Point is though, literally would have been illegal. So the only time they're even allowed to do a function together is those like CNN debates.
Okay, here's what I want to know. Why is that not public knowledge? Like, why don't people like
now
like,
it is.
Yeah, hey, you guys are in the loop. But it's like, no, like seriously, like there are so many things that's the stuff I'm talking about. Like that's what we should be learning in government. That's what we should be learning in like school as far as like what happens, what the rules are, and how, like, I know the laws. By the time I was in high school, I knew what the law, don't shoot people. Cool, got it. But I do have the right to bear arms. Cool, I like that too. But as far as, like, as far as, like, the institution that we've established as far as educating and establishing our, like, youth to prepare them to advance the country, in the past, I feel like there were way more... The way that the country was set up, or the way that the country thought, it was way more progressive in the sense of we want to do things to make sure that the next generation's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And at some point we've gotten away from that and we stopped informing people about the things that they can do and more so about what's already happened. Like, we don't talk about taxes or how we came to so much in taxes or like why things are the way they are, but we do talk about the Boston Tea Party. Like what the relevance. There comes a point where, like, obviously it's important to know the history, but there's also importance in knowing the, like, detail behind the things that go into it. So it, like, I would have preferred to learn in government, hey, these are the things that go, like, this is what these parties have done, yes, but this is how you, as a person, in joining society, will be able to impact, or what you need to look out for. This is how you, and not necessarily, I'm not saying, like, we in school need people to tell you how to think, but I definitely think that it would be important and
make people feel more powerful. Yeah. I mean, hell, just like email one of your city council members and give them a podcast link. I mean, they might respond and say thanks.
Right.
You know?
Well, and then
that's why we're in this, like, golden age of, like, podcasts and documentaries right now. Like, I was really encouraged when the Social Dilemma, like, blew up the way it did, because there was another documentary last year called The Great Hack, which is, like, even better. Mm-hmm. But even still, the fact that the Social Dilemma made its way onto the trending page, and now everybody's, like, much more aware of, like, got it, that's how data manipulation works, and that's how ideological bubbles are compromised. Mm-hmm. I'm so glad that more people I can broach that subject and somebody knows what I'm saying without me having to do a 10-minute explanation of how that shit works.
Right.
That's great.
it's nice to be able to reference. And so this is where like it comes into play that social media is super useful, and I'm like a super big advocate of it. And like we have that level of transparency where most of our politicians do have social media. I would rather people tweet it at their politicians than they tweet the way that they tweet at celebrities wanting them to retweet them. Like tweet at your local congressman and your Senate and let them know, hey, this is what we need to change. Like, this is what we want to do. This is how we are looking at it, and these are the things that are affecting the actual people in our community. Rather than, hey, Drake, you like my hair? Like, no one cares about that. Like, no, I wish we would, like, turn our focus from, like, because we do have those tools, and, like, we do have the transparency and the visibility of, like, I saw you tweet that, Donald Trump. I'm on your ass. Like,
yeah. At the same time, though, I think
in conversation with Donald Trump, you guys.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think that's like useful to a point. Like, I think it's good for like getting information out to each other. If you do it in a pointed way,
in a constructive way,
and you're not just sharing the same like pastel activism set that everybody else is sharing, and you're not really getting new information out of. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of talking in circles right now. My only point is like it. So there are people like Trump who are salacious on purpose because they're trying to waste your time yelling at them and like finger wagging at them when they know what they're doing.
Absolutely.
I'm describing what a troll is, basically.
No,
there are trolls in power, and they're trolling to waste our time, basically. And it's like this circular...
Donald Trump has been trolling the American people for the entire election.
Yeah, that's really what it is.
Yeah.
Because if I like look at like Seth Meyers, like a closer look segment where he like gets a lot of info out every day, like if it would be so much more useful if he was talking about like again, like automation or data things or police reform, whatever it is, you know. But because Trump said something, it's like, shit, our segment got dominated by him again. But it's almost like you're kind of like letting him in a sense. Yeah,
because we're giving him that power. And that's that's one of the things. It's like, dude, if we all just stopped paying attention to him, like, yeah, he'd still be doing the dumb shit he's doing, but it probably wouldn't affect us in the same ways because we would obviously be more aware of the fact that he's not that important. He's just a troll. If we stopped giving trolls power, then we would be in a different place. But we continue to pour our energy into like temporary and monetary things that like Trump said some dumb shit. Okay, we're gonna focus on that for like the whole week now. Like what?
Yeah.
There's an election happening. Like, and that's exactly what's happening. So it's like, dude, we've gotta like razor in on focusing on things that actually matter. Like being ourselves, because if we were more focused on being ourselves, then we'd know it'd be easier to identify, hey, these are the things I disagree on. This is like, and it's like...
Well, gosh, I mean, even just to get away from politics for a sec, like, there's so many young people who I think, like, they feel really anxious and they don't know what to do with their free time, and they have, like, glimmers of ideas of what they think they might want to do or are good at or, like, something they'd want to take up, even kind of like the stuff you were talking about earlier, whether or not it's your music or your tarot readings, and it's like people just need to... try stuff and spend their time.
People don't do things the way they used to. They don't have hobbies or like things that they enjoy like practically outside of their regular day-to-day. Most people get off work and they go home and sit on their couch and watch TV and YouTube videos and Netflix or whatever until they go to sleep and then wake up, and the whole time throughout all of those things they're watching people on social media doing things or appearing to do things that they've mastered or that they are good at, and then it's like, dude, you could have done something.
Yeah, and then they wind up thinking, wow, how crazy would it be if I did something? That'd be so fun. Like, I deliberated on doing a podcast for months before
remember that.
You and I did the first episode until eventually I was like, all right, let's just go do this.
We're doing it.
Yeah, and then when I finally did, I was like, oh, that was easy.
Yeah. It's better. You're like, well, that actually made sense because I actually had fun doing it, and it was like a thing that I could do and enjoy myself, and it's...
I have like a bookshelf and a carpet in my room now, and they're both new. See, like, I really like my room. I really like my house. And when I moved in, I was thinking like, wow, what a dream place to live. I'm gonna fuck it up a little bit. I'm gonna get the nice curtains. And like, I had this idea of like week one of living here, I'm just gonna put everything aside and make it nice and exactly how I want. Fast forward to a year later, there's still some shit on the floor that was there like the week I moved in that I just never found a nice place for them and stuff. And I was like, damn, I just still have not figured that out. And then you start thinking about doing the task, and then you get anxiety around the task because you're like, oh, well, if I do that, then I won't have time to cook. And then if I don't cook, but then it's just like, I mean, that's why Nike just really has the best slogan.
Yeah, no,
like,
literally, I just was thinking, like, literally for 2021, I would really love to see more people be like Nike and just do it. Like, don't even think about it. Just do that shit.
Yeah. Every time I decide just do it, it's usually a beneficial thing. Even like the simplest version of it is like when you're just lying in bed in the morning and you're thinking about getting up for 10 minutes before you get up, and then when you finally get up, you're like, man, I got up. But
like, I could have done this a long time ago. Like, most of this, I've definitely had those moments, and it's like, dude, I could have been doing this. I should have been doing this. But then you have to, like, not dwell on the fact that you could have been doing it and that the fact that you're doing it now. And I really, like I said, I want to see more people just kind of do it. I myself, I'm not gonna say other people aren't doing nothing. I went through a phase where I felt like, oh my gosh, because of COVID, I'm stuck. I can't do any of the things that I want to do with my life. Like,
yeah.
And as much as I'm like, now in hindsight, I'm like, dude, that's so stupid. Like, I could totally still be living my life, which I did eventually remember I could be living my life. But it's like, you have to kind of remember that when you do them, when you do anything, it's just like, it is. Like, the reality, that moment, it just is. That's what's happening. And it's okay. Right. So it's like, all right, you're doing it. You're doing the thing. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it again.
Well, yeah, I mean, the idea of doing things are scary because, one, there's the energy and effort aspect of it. And then the two, there's the whole, you're committing to doing something and thinking about that thing while you're doing it. So in other words, you're spending time with your consciousness being focused on something, while most of what we're incentivized to do now with like our phones or media in general is to kind of outsource your consciousness to something else so that you don't have to spend time with yourself and your thoughts. But you know, like me, I have the muscle memory right now where if I ever have a free second or two to grab my phone, but I'm not using social media this month. So every single time Hulu like goes to commercial, or I'm getting up to go cook or this or that, and I'm like, ah, shit, I'm existing in my head right now. It can be scary for a second. Maybe you grab your phone, but then you remember, no, this is what being a human being is.
It's okay to be where you are.
Existing.
And it's important.
And then like I'm like grabbing for the garlic, and I'm going, okay, now I'm grabbing for the garlic. And then I'm starting to think like, man, I hope I'm not anxious in a few minutes. But then I realize, but I'm not anxious right now because I'm chopping the garlic. And once I'm done chopping the garlic, I'll be doing another thing and another thing and another thing. And if you just kind of live your life without the fear of thinking about living your life or whatever, and you just do it or whatever it is, be better off.
Definitely. I absolutely agree. I definitely
hope that made sense.
No, I get you. If you focus more so on what you're doing in the moment, then you won't be so caught up on what's going to happen next. And I feel like that's what people fear. And therefore now, especially because we have so many outlets for people to live vicariously through people, through experiences, through things. Like, I've literally met people that said that they don't have to go places because they saw it on the internet, and that makes me really uncomfortable. Like, I've been traveling forever, and I can't imagine, like, there's so many places in this world that I, like, am dying to see.
What's on your list?
Trinidad is high on my list right now. I think that's like gonna be my next place.
Where is Trinidad?
Trinidad's in the Caribbean. My family's from there. That's why I want to go. That's like why it's on my list. But it's also like really beautiful. Where is the Caribbean? Where's the Caribbean? The Caribbean is in the the Pacific Ocean. Bro. Nope, that's not it.
That's too big of an area of space.
Is it the right ocean? Atlantic.
Let's find out.
It's the Atlantic, because that's the one off of Florida, right? Dude, I hope I'm not wrong. See, this is what I'm talking about. What did I learn in school? Nothing. I learned nothing.
Where's the Caribbean?
The Caribbean is off the coast of Florida. I know that. But where Trinidad specifically is, it's like north of the coast of Venezuela.
Okay. So it's by like South America and stuff. See, that's what I thought. And then I was like, is it by South America or Africa?
Yes.
I'm like, I'm pretty sure South America.
I
didn't think it was.
Wait, which ocean? I need to know that. That's like...
yeah, it's the Atlantic.
Oh, yeah.
If you pointed to that area of space and you asked me what ocean it was, I would have said the Pacific.
See, that's why I was like, no, Pacific I know is off the coast of California. That's why I was like, nah, that's not right. Atlantic. That's the one.
Huh.
That's the guy.
Go figure.
That's the guy.
Go figure.
Yeah.
Do you ever get caught up just thinking about how many like places there are and like just unique cultures and styles of life, like outside of your own little reality bubble. Like that shit's crazy. Like sometimes I just think like, what's going on what's going on in Guam right now?
Snapchat has this really cool feature.
I know.
And I really use it.
The SnapMap features, guys, you can go onto Snapchat and just drone in to anywhere in the world.
If you want to be in Cambodia, you're there, man. Like literally, that's how dope SnapMaps is. And like and because it's nice to be able to live vicariously, but I mean, I'm totally like one of those people that wants to actually go to those places. I'm trying to figure out my life path to like be able to get a ridiculous amount of expendable income so that I can continue traveling and being awesome, and kind of like capturing those adventures, because I know that there are people that aren't interested in traveling, but there are still people that are interested in like seeing what's out there. Dude,
when the stock market crash happened that first week of COVID, I told myself I was gonna like buy a fuck ton of Bitcoin as soon as it went down to $3,000 a coin, because before it was at like 12,000. I'm like, great, I'm just gonna quadruple some money real quick. The lowest it ever got was 4,600. So I never like cashed in on a whole bunch, and then it started soaring back up again. I was like, wait, come back. And even when it got back up to like 6,000, I still should have bought, because it's been chilling at like 11,000 now for a while. So if I even bought then, I could have just at least like doubled some money. Yeah. I think about all the things. I feel like, ironically, it is gambling though. Like I just did describe gambling.
Yeah, it is gambling. Well, that's a lot of. I mean,
that's why you can't dwell on that. That's why. All I'm saying, like, you can't really dwell on those missed opportunities too much, because it's just like, hey, you. At the end of the day, it probably was smart not to.
I have a friend who was supposed to invest in Tesla, and now, like, I think back to like what her life would look like if she had invested in Tesla when she was supposed to invest in Tesla. And I'm like, dude.
Tesla last year in September was worth like $200 a share or something like that. And I was really heavily considering buying a bit at the time, and I just kind of didn't. And then by March, it was like $2,000 a share. And I was like, I could have get 10 times to some money. So it, yeah.
Well, and then, like, as I go through, or as I like think about situations like that, I'm one of those people that's like, no regrets, but not like oh my gosh, I don't regret anything. It's just like I try not to dwell on things that I could have done.
Yeah, no, exactly.
It's like, dude, when I like now, I'm trying to be more proactive and like, I had a good idea, I should probably do that. That's a good thing to do. It might be worth it. It might be lucrative. It might be cool. And then like the other day, or like a couple weeks ago, I was thinking about Apple. Yeah, I had to think about it. I was like, what
Apple?
I invested in them because I had stock in some other stuff, and I was like, yeah, this is not where I want my stock. And not that I didn't want to keep it invested there. It's just I knew that it wasn't worth my investment.
Yeah,
so
Twitter's like $50 a share. It's like extremely cheap. But when they like first, I think Twitter went public in 2013, and then after a few months they went up to like $70 a share, and it has never been that high since. So literally in the last 7 years,
it's just been chilling.
Twitter, it's kind of just gone down steadily and then leveled and then up and down, but from what I can tell. But the point is like Twitter has never amassed the high they hit when they went public 7 years ago. So I don't know if I don't know fucking anything about stocks. Don't listen to me even remotely, but sometimes I just think it's like interesting that like Facebook and all of them are like so high. I'm like, what if Twitter just pulls a crazy doodad? I don't know.
It's all about the trends, man. That's why they keep pulling these gimmicks out of their pockets. I was gonna say something else, but out of their pockets to make stuff like more people cling to it. Like a lot of people, when Instagram did the Reels thing, they got off of TikTok. They was like, Instagram does that now.
Instagram's like ripping off TikTok now. Dude, with
Instagram's
like
ripping
Reels.
off everything, but that's because Instagram is Facebook and Facebook is Instagram, and we all know Facebook's just been stealing shit for a while.
Well, when Zuckerberg testified before Congress, they literally asked him like, is it true you planned to go on attack mode on Instagram if they didn't submit to being bought by you? And he was like, that's ridiculous. And we're like, fuck you, that's ridiculous.
That is
you would have destroyed Instagram.
Absolutely what you would have done at Mark Zuckerberg.
You're
a terrible person.
They were developing their own Instagram, and it was going to be called Facebook Camera, I think.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I remember before like Instagram became Facebook, and it was just like, dude, when it happened, it was like Facebook keeps doing updates that like literally are just integrating other.
I got an update this morning that said Messenger and Instagram DMs are merging.
Dude, yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing now because aren't separate platforms. Facebook's just gonna eat everything, and it's just like, dude, can y'all not?
The
The more we talk about this, I'm like, dang, do I even want Facebook anymore? Like, oh,
no, you don't.
I don't. But like everybody I know is on there. That's how I see my grandma, my family. They're on there.
Make a new one just to clear all your data.
Oh, I have definitely done that though.
Yeah.
I don't use it as much.
What was I gonna say? Shit.
Facebook? Mark Zuckerberg.
Some dead air here.
Fuck. Let's see. We were talking about...
No, just... Shit. Maybe I was going to talk about Spotify.
Ooh, I love Spotify.
My friend Nick pointed out that Spotify in terms is like... You know how like when we think about data collection and like these big boys having all of our data, we think about social media? He pointed out that Spotify is one of the biggest people in that game that we don't think about.
Spotify is super data mining all of us.
Yeah, and I was even... And like I'm the person that always is like talking about this sort of stuff. And even with this, I was kind of like... Yeah, but what's the harm so much? Or like really prove it to me? Or like this and that. Like I don't know how I was arguing with him so much. But the more and more we talked through it, the more I was like... Oh shit, well, yeah, if people use data to like adjust how markets work because they're basically using all of our data as like user surveys of what people like, and then they kind of contour what is put and floated to the mainstream based on what people like. Like we were just talking about how like everybody has the daily mixes, and then there's like monopoly over like the podcast placements, and then that turns into like what's trending on Twitter and this and that, and then all the people who are on streaming services make, you know, fractions of the streams they get and this and that. I'm not putting it very eloquently right now, but like we created a stream of consciousness that was like, oh wow, the implications of data with Spotify and music services even is kind of like,
Dude, there's so many ways that our data is being like compromised and utilized to target and like attack us in a way that people aren't even like conscious of.
Yeah.
And it's,
I mean, Yang was the only presidential candidate that remotely talked
mentioned
about
it.
this stuff
But
or
that's
even
because
understands it.
One of the things that I'll say about him being the one to mention it is because he's not looking to utilize it for his benefit, and majority of other politicians are. They are...
Well, he was trying to make it our human right to cease and freeze the sale of our data at any time and access it. Because right now, like when we sign up for those user agreements, like you're kind of signing away your shit.
You are.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. We're all like, anytime we sign up for social media, we're signing up to be like experimental individuals. Like,
yeah, he put it a really good way. And anytime you like a tweet, you're basically filling out a Scantron sheet for Twitter.
Yeah,
like
for
if you're
what to show you.
If you're liking Facebook posts, you're basically just clocking in for your shift at the ad company.
Yeah, because that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to promote ads that are going to be aimed, targeted, and sent specifically for you to buy things and better other companies. So it's
I started watching South Park recently from the 2015 season on, and
have you seen the pandemic special?
Yeah, I saw the pandemic special. What did you think about it? My only point about watching that later season, because I'm going a few years back and up, where like all the storyline stuff came in, but their whole storyline about ad culture and gentrification and Whole Foods and shit like that, like it was so good.
Yeah.
Dude,
okay, gentrification, that's a scary thing for me. That's a very real thing for me. It's something that I've like...
Tempe and Phoenix are gonna get real gentrified.
Oh, well, it's already happening.
I mean, it's already happening.
I'm like, it's already happening. It's already been happening. And so like I said, I'm from Indiana. My grandma lives in like downtown, but it wasn't always all downtown, but it's like downtown has like slowly become closer to her home, and I'm like, oh my gosh, why are you here? They're like building apartment complexes around like houses that were built in the 1900s. Like, what's going on?
They're going reverse order here. We're in Tempe, in Mill Ave, where it's already downtown. They're building that fucking old folks home, and it's gonna be like the new like tallest building or whatever. Yeah,
which is crazy.
And I'm like, what are all these old people gonna be doing living next to Mill? What?
Spending money, I guess. I don't know. It depends. I mean, honestly,
you know what my one optimistic view of it was? Grandkids who go to ASU now can walk from class over to their grandparents' luxury old folks home.
Oh my gosh. But then it's like, no, honestly, so You saying that they're building an old folks home in the middle of downtown Tempe is really alarming to me, because that means that they're going to try and move all of these old people out of their homes that they've lived in Phoenix and in different places all over the country for years, because we already know this is one big retirement state. That's what they're doing. You didn't get that part, did you? You didn't click? Yeah, that's what they're doing. That's gentrification. They are giving you new homes to live in to make your home that you live in seem like ridiculous. They're gonna deck it out with all kinds of amenities and stuff that they don't need.
You solved the riddle.
And then they're gonna overprice it, and you're gonna be homeless old people.
So hold up.
That sold their houses.
Everybody who I've spoken to about this, we always get confused, and that's where the conversation ends. So you're telling me they're like, okay, Arizona's this old folks state,
Mecca.
So if we try to gentrify and get these people out of their houses, where do we put them? Oh, I know. We'll just build them an old folks home where they can go.
Yeah. Especially right now, while
God damn.
Arizona is slowly but surely turning into California Junior. So it's like,
for sure.
Right, but it's like, okay, right now they're wanting to focus and bring more people in that are associated with technology, people that are associated with media, music, YouTube.
The music scene here
is crazy.
Is just
crazy
a wealth of untapped potential.
But it's like the way, like, Arizona is like low key on the verge of like getting put on the map in a way that we haven't been in a very long time. But that's because like it's such a culture of like, I don't know. I feel like we're kind of like a melting pot, but it's like a different type of melting pot. Because like New York, it's like everybody's separated, but here it's like we've just been stuck in this bowl in the valley.
Yeah, no, I mean, the thing about Arizona is like you can go a few hours in any direction and wind up in the woods, Mexico, California, or Las Vegas. It's relatively cheap to live here, and we are close enough to all these other cool kid states and places that we kind of have most of the things that they have besides good weather and a beach.
And legal weed, which we will have soon.
So in terms of there being like good culture here and cool people and talented people and like incentives to like, it's honestly like a fun place. The majority of people who are in Arizona and complain about Arizona are younger people that just haven't learned to appreciate it yet.
Oh, dude, I can tell you for a fact, after leaving and coming back, I am so grateful for Arizona.
It's a great place.
It is. It's an amazing place. But like, when it comes to like the gentrification, it's like, dude, we're already becoming slowly but surely overpopulated, and the goal right now is to centralize everyone so that they can capitalize on the land that's like no longer going to be utilized. They're going to tear people's old houses down and build in mansions and housing that people can't afford in places that they've wanted to rebuild for years.
Yeah.
And that's what gentrification is. But it's like, we have to be conscious enough to be like, hey, y'all probably shouldn't put this gigantic old folks home in the middle of downtown. That's probably not safe. Like,
something I don't fully understand about city development is I don't know how much that is just first call, first serve, like the person, because for instance, it's like, what, like, isn't it kind of inevitable to, in a sense? Like, I'm not saying it's good, but like just with the way economics work and people who have money make big money moves, it's like, how much is it the city's fault and how much is it just, hey, there's this patch of land here and somebody wealthy enough to build such an old folks home decided to do so?
I think it comes back to the education aspect. If more people were conscious of like what
I don't know what goes into building.
No, okay, so like that's what I'm saying. You don't know. It's not talked about, but there are people that it's literally their job and they focus on this, like the controlling and the sectioning of people and the rationing of wealth. Think about, okay, so for example, school districts. We went to Marcos, the actual like district itself in Tempe Union District. It's separated very specifically. If you take notice in different precedents or the different type of people that are associated with the different types of schools, it's all ironically and just so weirdly separated into a way that certain people with certain amount of income are in a certain area and expected to go to a certain school. That's the same. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
They are putting the person's home to change some sort of demographic, and not necessarily that's the intention, but it is the intention, because you can't just put they're placed intentionally, like you just said.
I've said this before on different podcasts, but it's just like in downtown Tempe, I just find that there's like this burning desire from young people to have more cultural spots, whether it's skate parks or places to have like local concerts or just places to meet each other that isn't just the bars on Mill or ASU based clubs. But in terms of like public parks or cool young people venues that aren't, just bars,
right,
there isn't really a whole lot of that. And it's really kind of forced us all to create those spaces ourselves, whether or not it was the Sunroom venue or things like that. And any time there's like an empty patch of dirt, it winds up getting filled by a Taco Bell, a CVS, or some like upper middle class like luxury apartment housing that are pretty low quality, but they have marble countertops. So then people spend $1,300 a month on the rent, which is crazy.
Right.
And that's where I'm like, okay, on University right now, there's that like luxury Whole Foods with some luxury apartments on top of the Whole Foods on University now. And when I look at that, I'm like, well, if that land was there and Whole Foods wanted to take it, I don't really know if that's anyone's fault so much as it's inevitable. However, if we could have a space that looks like that, but then you go inside and it's like all these local farmers like selling their stuff, that sounds like a better economy, better for the environment. It would be better for people's meeting each other and community outreach, because Arizona is very much so like a garage culture where you leave your house, you go to where you need to go, and then you come back. And I think that's based on, one, our weather isn't good, so you're trying to just go to and from places. But then two, there just isn't a lot of spaces that incentivizes like talking to the person next to you.
Absolutely.
So people kind of avoid eye contact here. You don't really talk to each other in public spaces, and it's not really like that in other places like New York, for instance, or like I imagine like even Atlanta, probably people are like talking like a lot more. So
it's definitely different. I can confirm that from like my traveling for sure. But it's like the things that for me, like when you having these like thoughts of like the different things that go into it, it's the fact that for me, I've been in all of these different places and I've seen this happen like before, or you see it happening everywhere. So it's like, if we had I say that, it's like zoned intentionally. The same way you're like, okay, well, what if a bunch of farmers like communed and we're like, we're going to buy this place and then we're going to sell our food here.
Yeah.
It would be ideal. However, realistically, because of the way that funds are allocated, it's not a realistic thing. It's a lot easier for Whole Foods to be like, hey.
So that's what I'm saying. Like,
blob of land.
Are these negative realities just inevitable? Like, are they even fixable? Like, is being informed on these things even?
I believe.
I'm just asking questions.
Yeah, no,
I don't know.
I totally believe that in order for us to like resolve or actually make these changes or adjust the reality of the situation, we would have to socialize and we would have to commune. We would have to discuss things that we don't necessarily want to. But most of us are walking around, well, not walking around, we have our heads in the sand. We're not consciously putting the pieces together of like, wow, they're building this apartment complex. I wonder why they're building that. They're building it. If you like, when you say that to me, that literally, there are so many thoughts that were triggered in my mind. Like, okay, they're gonna put a 55 and up plus, like a 55 plus apartment building in the middle of downtown Tempe, which is one of the most urban areas in the state of Arizona, with the largest population of youth. That to me means, like, the way I'm thinking, I'm like, oh, well, they're trying to sway the way that the county votes. They're trying to sway the way that things are done. It's deeper than, so like for me, it's important, like when it comes to education, it's like, I didn't learn that until after the fact that, oh, our schools were zoned on purpose. Like I didn't get that until I did. And then when I did, I'm like, okay, this is all for economic gain. There's a reason behind everything. None of it is an accident, especially when it comes to like companies and corporations like starting new businesses and in new areas or relocating into new places. It definitely has a difference. Like, it makes a difference. There's a reason for it all. Yeah. And it's not without accident, but it's about whether or not, as a community, the community catches on in time enough to make a change.
So what does that look like? What does that mean?
The community has to socialize. You have to, okay, this is what we've got going on. Hey,
people
this area,
put up money to like create more of these spaces,
I believe that if more people,
we're describing the game Monopoly, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
You got to buy the boardwalk to make sure the boardwalk doesn't get bought by some.
Exactly. And so the thing is that more people have to invest with each other in order to do that. And we're in such a world where it's like, I got to one up that guy. Or we're competing. I'm like the type, like right now, I have the idea of like, I would love to open a salon. And I have friends that know how to do nails. I have friends that know how to do hair. Turn it into a spa. There you go, a boutique. But instead of that, most people are like, I got to do this by myself. I want my own. And it's...
Yeah, when see, like, and that's another reason why I think like universal basic income would be huge, because you would have a lot more people pulling resources that they know they're going to have to kind of like make more noble things happen, like the arts or building a new business or this or that. And I know sometimes like Yang was like questioned on like, well, what about inflation? He gave a pretty like good answer of why he thinks like inflation wouldn't necessarily come with UBI, and even if it did, like it might be like not high enough to really like
impact.
Like in other words, like if your landlord is like, hey, your rent is now 1,000 higher, you'd be like, the fuck are you talking about? It is.
Why not, dude?
You know, and then you would just have to find the first guy to not be cranking the rent by 1,000, and then just go with them. But I remember one answer he gave was like, oh well, like more young people could like pull their money together and like kind of find like a fixer upper and like make a place. And that answer was always a little bit confusing, but like thinking in these terms, in terms of like, yeah, like just there's like all these patches of dirt lying around in Tempe and Phoenix, and if you got more people kind of pulling together to like make like a salon or just like build a house or whatever it is, instead of just throwing their money at like rent where you don't get equity back. Yeah, no, it makes sense.
I have a group of friends that pulled together and started the Phoenix Urban Arts Festival, which prior to COVID was something that they like was a collective of just several young entrepreneurs within the valley that were like, hey, we got something, we can do a thing and make this like come together and all be able to benefit from it, and also benefit the community by gaining exposure and also giving people something to do.
What do you think about this idea? I've floated this before. What if the Tempe Festival for the Arts on Mill, or like downtown Phoenix's First Friday events, what if those style events were once a week? Instead of, because the Tempe Festival for the Arts is like 2 times a year or something like that. But what it looks like is on Mill, there's just food trucks and then tents of people selling their artwork, whether or not it's wood carvings or paintings or sculpture.
That's what my friends did with the Phoenix Urban Arts Festival.
Something I was thinking is, okay, people probably have to pay a certain permit fee to get those tents and those food carts there. But so if it was like once a week, you could argue that some people would create a monopoly by being there every week, but you could also make the argument like, well, if the price was like high enough to have a tent to where it incentivizes you to do it every now and again, but not like create a monopoly and be there all the time, there's more than enough local businesses and artists to kind of change that out. Like there's no shortage of people to fill something like that on a 52-week basis. And that would also probably supercharge the economy of people like walking around Mill and going inside of those shops that are just already there, not getting enough business probably. Like there would probably be a fuck ton of foot traffic to like Sparky's Ice Cream or Mellow Mushroom if they're already there on Mill for this other shit. Mm-hmm. And then these other businesses, they would just have like a more reliant expectation of like, oh, like I have an option to do this 4 times a month if I need to.
That's where the sense of like community comes in, as far as like you would have to get the community to know, like be like, hey, would you guys be down to do a thing? Like, if
the only downside I can possibly see is fucking up the traffic, and that area of the city already has it's already pretty fucked up. So we would just have to figure out a way to like route people away from going down Mill, but that doesn't seem that hard to me.
They close Mill a lot.
They already close it themselves right now to do all this construction for shit we don't really need. Yeah. So it kind of seems like it wouldn't even be that different.
I feel like if people of our generation, because I'm not even going to hold it to people of the past, because most of them are either very set in what they're doing. But as far as like right now, I feel like we're in a very critical time as far as like our generation and even the generation below us, where it seems to me like there are a lot of people that have ideas and have entrepreneurial intentions as far as like ways that they can contribute to their community, but also, you know, still be a regular member of society. And if more people, I think, were able to come together and do something like my friends did with the Phoenix Urban Arts Festival and just kind of be like, hey, we want to come together and we're going to give ourselves some exposure. We're going to network with each other and we're going to help lift each other up to make sure that we are all like kind of giving each other a platform. It would be so much easier for us to actually like minimize the giant corporations because we'd be able to gain access or, you know, be aware of what's available to us in the community rather than just like, I'm gonna go to Walmart. Like,
yeah, I don't go to that Whole Foods. And I'm not saying like going to Fry's is much better, but like I'm just like Bezos already gets my camera equipment money. He doesn't need my grocery money. I can like give that to Kroger or whatever.
No, but it's
but there is like a farmer's market like across the street from the Whole Foods, and like I go there a little bit, not enough. But
it's like those things would make all the difference. And it's like, but it's aside from that, if they like the farmer's market or the farmers that go to the farmer's market had more places that they could take the things that they have, then it'd be a lot easier for us to just generically go to that guy or the people that we can probably name by name than, you know.
The way you spend your money is kind of like a form of voting. Like you're kind of you're literally putting your money on like what you are investing.
Want to every time you spend money, you're investing into something or someone, whether you are doing it directly or indirectly. If you are going out of your way to spend any money on anything, you are investing.
Like there's a little market around here called Rollins Market, and like some of their snacks are like slightly overpriced. Like maybe you'll get a bag of chips and it's like $1 more than you expect. But I like feel way better going to this like family owned place that's been there for 35 years than like getting a bag of chips from Circle K, you know.
If more people, so it's funny that because like with corporations, there's become this like gigantic industry of customer service, which I find really hilarious. I've spent a great deal working in customer service, which is anyway, and working in customer service or in customer service existing, it's ironic to me because it's like, wow, if we all went through like local businesses or through individuals, then it wouldn't necessarily be a big like business of just customer service. There are people that literally outsource people getting service from their company. Like, what? You had a bad experience with a company and you're not even talking to that company about that bad experience. I would much rather be able to go into like my local wherever and be like, hey, I was talking to so-and-so and they helped me, and is there any way y'all can tell me where this is, or, you know, things like that. And there's a different sense of like community or welcoming or service or just even like experience. It's a totally different experience when you go into those places versus going into Walmart and going like you're treated with a different level of courtesy and there's a different experience in
and
it.
Also just friendliness, because even if there's like some like, let's say there's like some cute girl at Sprouts, that there is, I don't even feel and like I get along with her decently, I don't even feel super comfortable like talking to her too long, because I know that she's under this surveillance of like you just said, like customer experience culture, because this is like a big branded grocery store.
Right.
But if I'm at like Cartel Coffee and there's like some like, you know, it's like you're probably going to be able to have like more of a I don't know, it just
more rapport and more like people are more comfortable. It's a more natural setting rather than anytime I go into like Walmart or Target, I feel like I'm talking to robots. I'm like, are y'all real people in there?
Because when I worked at Starbucks, like, and I was at the drive-through window, there were times when the customer was like angry with me and my manager would be like, talk with them, and I'd be like, and I'll try to explain, they don't want me to talk to them right now. And she's like, well, their drink is taking a little bit long, so why don't you just fill the time by making conversation? And I'm like, I'm telling you,
this isn't that environment. And that's what people, it's
all like rule book following.
But companies are trying to integrate like a direct personal service, like make you feel comfortable or make you like feel like you're at a mom and pop spot, but you're definitely not. Like, you know, there's just so many things that are removed from like the actual personal interaction versus the corporation interaction or the online interaction. And honestly, interaction itself is just like kind of like a dying thing because of the world.
Dude, my friend Elijah, he is like so extremely himself in public spaces, and just the way he like talks with like people at stores, and like I love it. And like I'm always anxious and shit, and I'm like trying to be like not noticed or not too loud or this or that. He don't give a fuck, and I'm like, this is really how people should be.
I am that same way, and I will talk to people
same with Snot.
I have a
snotty man.
I have some friends like they laugh at me or not even laugh, but like when we're in public, honestly, well, you know, I'm me all the time. So, like,
Yeah.
I'm that person that will, like, literally go up to people, like, at the gas station and be like, oh my gosh, you're really pretty. Like,
Yeah.
because I'm that, like, not even on some, I'm like, I'm hitting on you. It's just like, hey, I just feel like you should know.
But also.
But also, hey, no.
All right. We're at 2 hours.
Jesus Christ.
Sadia, if you had a magic wand, why don't we wrap this up? I don't know. Like,
can we do the Disney thing? No, I'm just kidding.
I was just gonna ask you, like, as like a final takeaway, like, how do we fix everything? I don't know. What do you want people to be more like? What do you want the world to be more like? How do we wrap this bitch up?
I don't want the world to be more like anything. I think to wrap it up, I really wish that more people would be more themselves so that they can continue being like their perfect place in the world.
That was good.
Thanks, man.
All right. I think we're done.
All right.
2 hours. It's been good. Shit. That was good.
Done did it. Jesus.
What happened?
So many calls and messages and what in the world? I wasn't gone that long, guys.